Hello, everyone. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to yet another BizTalk. As last month we were talking about validating and finding your startup ideas, tonight we will go a little bit further and we will talk about creating a demo and MVP of your products. And it is my great pleasure to welcome here Dayo, who I have studied with and who is the founder of Wisdom, but I think that's enough for me. I think I should give the time Dayo to introduce herself. Dayo, floor is yours. Please tell us who you are.
Hi, Adrian. Yes, and I know we studied together. Thanks so much for having me today. So, yes, my name is Dayo Akinrinade, and I am the founder of the Wisdom app. Wisdom is a new social audio app. We are a social audio app with a very specific use case. We focus on mentoring and connecting experts and mentors to knowledge seekers. Wisdom launched in October 2021, so we are still quite a new startup. And in terms of some interesting milestones that we've hit since the October launch, so to date, we've raised 3 million US dollars. And of particular note of investors within the round are First Round Capital, the venture capital firm. In March this year, we were App of the Day in Apple's App Store, which was it was a great honor. You know, there's millions of apps in the App Store. We've been covered by TechCrunch a couple of times, and we are also now currently featured in a number of recommended lists within Apple's App Store. So, namely the best for listening category, and also a category called Take a Mental Break.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I'm pretty sure we will dive further more and learn about wisdom and the whole journey. But we should definitely start from the beginning. So as the topic of today is the MVP and demos of startups, can you please tell us a little bit about those very beginnings? So how did you approach the first version of your product? Was it functional MVP or maybe non-functional in a form of a landing page or some explainer videos?
So I would say it was a functional MVP. Wisdom started first of all just as like pencil sketches. I was very inspired by Clubhouse and the new audio technology in Agora and what that was making, possible and much easier to engineer with audio. But yes, but it started with pencil sketches. But then we did build straight away. I think oftentimes with an MVP, if the target product is quite technical, sometimes that's where it makes more sense to go ahead and build. And I think particularly where social audio at the time, and I think we can say social audio still is an emerging medium, right? In terms of social media, if we compare it to text and video. So I think with wisdom, it was important to build from the start to help people see and visualize and experience like this is what wisdom could be and to help people see the vision.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit more about that first version of MVP? When did you decided to build it and why? What was on your mind and like when you started planning to do it and how it did end up?
Sure. So the founding mission of wisdom is to democratize access to mentorship. And I was inspired to create this uh, when we, as you may recall, actually, when we finished our degree, when we finished the MSc, I was on the founding team of a program called One Tech. And One Tech to date is London's largest diversity in startups program. And the mission of One Tech was to increase the number of underrepresented founders who were getting investment from the London Co-Investment Fund to grow their startups. And the underrepresented founders fell into categories like female founders, ethnic minority founders, I think children of immigrants. and in essence, wanting to increase the diversity of founders who were accessing investment. So, as a part of the program, one of the key findings that we found was that founders in underrepresented groups lack access to mentorship and they lack access to networks. So, in essence, recognizing that as a founder, if you have a stronger network, you are more likely to be able to raise investment for your startup. As a founder, when you have an idea, maybe here's a problem I want to solve, here's what I want to build, it's very important at that stage, as we know, to talk to as many of your potential target market as possible, right? To validate that what you think is a problem is actually a problem. And to have those conversations, it comes down to network and mentors. Who do you know that's willing to give you time and share their wisdom, share their experience? So, a common finding when we analyzed the founders within the One Tech program, and we were like, why are they struggling? Why are they less successful in raising investment? We found that a lot of founders had tried to use LinkedIn for mentorship. So, they would go onto LinkedIn, find high profile individuals who would be potential customers, and maybe ask for a coffee, a meeting. Would you be part of a pilot? And what they found was that LinkedIn doesn't work for mentoring. LinkedIn doesn't work well. LinkedIn isn't to connect you to people who don't know you, right? In fact, the platform actively discourages that. And so, and then also, I could say this is something I experienced personally as well, being a female founder in London, being a Black female founder in London, not naturally having the networks. So, to solve that, what Wisdom is doing is saying, we're creating an audio community, a social audio community, but it's an open community. It's a community without barriers. So in essence, it's if we think about like social networking and the social graph, and I think a great example is Clubhouse, because I think Clubhouse has led the way, right, in terms of social audio. And if we look at the talk graph of Clubhouse, it's a lot of people talking about a lot of different things, at the same time. Whereas what we're creating with Wisdom, I call it the mentor graph. So we are creating a social graph, but of mentors and experts and people who are on the platform because they have knowledge, but they want to give back and they want to share the knowledge. And because it's audio, like we've removed the barriers, so where the venture capital firm says you need to approach us through a warm introduction, we don't like cold emails. And that does create barriers. And I think depending on an individual and where they are positioned within society, it can put people at like an unfair disadvantage. So yeah, so in essence, the mission around Wisdom is saying, let's have an open audio community of people who are focused on knowledge sharing. And yeah, it takes us to Wisdom.
Yeah, what you're saying is like resonating very well with me, because like I heard that and I'm pretty positive about it. So like you are the combination of the five people you're spending most time with. So like when you're spending most time with those high achievers, you're trying to up your game as well, and be on that level and improve in whichever field you want to. But we heard enough, so maybe it's time to show a little bit demo of your wisdom. So if we can ask our wizard in the backstage to share it with us, it would be great.
And I'm the founder of Wisdom. Wisdom is a social audio app that connects knowledge seekers to mentors. I created Wisdom because I believe that access to knowledge should be a human right, but today it's a privilege, and this contributes to systemic inequity globally. At launch, Wisdom uses custom machine learning algorithms to land you on the most suitable live conversation for you. Here, verified top mentor Andre is giving leadership advice. Uniquely, all Wisdom talks are one-to-one, and this allows for meaningful conversations. Also, an audience of 150 people are listening in real time and also benefiting from Andre's mentoring. The audience can express their feedback with emoji reactions, which allows Andre, the speaker, to read the room. Notice the timer above Catherine ticking down. Each guest has a time limit, and Wisdom's queue function ensures everyone has time to ask the mentor their question. To optimize the mentor matching, we use machine learning to recommend which high-quality mentors to follow. And to help creators build their brands, all Wisdom Talks are recorded and saved to the creator's profile automatically. Profiles are shareable and web browser compatible. And creators can download their talks in high-fidelity audio to repurpose their content on podcasts. And creators can access detailed engagement metrics about their talks on Wisdom. Aside from the live talks, you can also play back the recorded talks on Wisdom in your own time. My request is for you to download Wisdom and mentor people who would not have the privilege to meet you in their daily lives. Join our mission to democratize access to mentorship. Thank you.
Awesome. As I know from the backstage, you were creating that video for a very specific company or a very specific purpose. If you can tell us a little bit more about it.
Sure. So last year, and it happened this year, so Apple has a program called the Apple Entrepreneur Camp, and it's I would say, let's call it a tech program. It's not a full on accelerator. It lasts for 1 week. And in fact, if anyone's interested, if you Google Apple Entrepreneur Camp, it will come up. They run it, they've run a number of cohorts. And part of the camp, which to me was really useful, it was in essence, they explained to us, similar to the theme of today, around creating a demo and how do you create a great demo. And that was definitely very helpful for me in terms of understanding. Now, of course, bearing in mind, I think every demo will have a different objective. With wisdom, I think, because for me, like the core value in wisdom is that what we are building in social audio is proprietary technology. So there isn't, so what you would have noticed from the demo, for example, is the key differentiator of wisdom is that we use social audio to connect people for one-to-one conversations. And then you have an audience of people listening in who are also benefiting from the knowledge. So you'll notice with the wisdom demo, it is very focused on the features and what we've built, because for us at the moment, that is a key differentiator of saying that there, to my knowledge, isn't another startup in the marketplace who was building for this particular use case, right, of social audio and engineering. So of course, for somebody building another demo, they may have a different aspect of the community, what they're building that they want to highlight. But I would say like a few of the learnings that I think I could pass on within the demo. The demo, it answered the questions what, who, and why, and a call to action. And those are the key things in terms of what is being built, who is it being built for, why is it being built, and then at the end having a call to action, which in my case for the demo of wisdom is encouraging people to say, you are somebody, you have knowledge, you can be a mentor. I believe that as individuals, we've each had a unique life experience, and there's value in sharing that experience. Therefore, you can be a mentor. So I guess what else would I say? So yes, the who, the what, and the why. The demo was 2 minutes long, which was again that was on advice. I think because we love our products, right? So I could have probably made a 10-minute demo if you had given me all the time in the world. But I think it's important with demos, you as a founder, you have to put yourself in the mindset of the recipient, right? The listener, the watcher. And I always remind myself this might be the 20th demo they've seen this week. So they may be coming into it like, oh, another one. So I think brevity is important. I think having a script and being very precise with the script. So you know the word, your emphasis words. And this isn't just from Apple. I mean, this is learning I've picked up along the way. Some founders, if you wake them up in the middle of the night, they can tell you their demo. Um, they can also tell you their elevator pitch. They can tell you the short elevator pitch, right? So if I'm just stuck in the lift in for 30 seconds, I could say we're building the, we have the largest mental audio community. If you're stuck in the elevator for 2 minutes. So I do think that there is value when we think of MVPs and how you're presenting the MVP to get to the point where you can just, turn it on. I think another good piece of advice I was given was, so you'll notice with this demo, it was what they call canned, meaning it wasn't live. But because Wisdom is a live product, it was important for us to pre record the sequences and functions that we wanted to show. Because with a live product, you never know what's going to be happening, right? Like there may be people, I mean, there's always people talking on Wisdom, but it might be because of the time zone, we don't have anyone talking. So I think it's also important when you are creating a demo to see, uh, do you want to pre record? Or do you want to go, the live option is more risky as well. And then you may be somewhere that doesn't have data. So I think there is value in having a working demo on your phone. So whether you're on the elevator, you might be in a plane, but just so you can seize that moment and show somebody straight away. This is what we have.
Yeah. Before I'll go to the next question, I have to ask. So because it's it's a live product, how many different versions you recorded, or it was just the first one?
That is a really good question. I think it's definitely key to point out that although we see the 2 minute demo at the end, that was a team effort. I would say in terms of the written scripts, we went through about maybe 4 or 5 iterations. And if you think about the who, what, and the why and the call to action, that's literally saying under what am I going to say? What are we going to show? For the why, what am I going to say? What are we going to show? So I think it's also important within the demo to literally deconstruct it down to the messaging you want to get across, what you say versus what you do. And then in terms of the video, that was I would say probably about 4 or 5 iterations. And we tried different tools as well. And I will say in the end, Loom was very helpful to put together, the voiceover, overlaying with the what we, the animations and what we had used in like Figma and in the studio, and putting the two together.
Okay. So the next topic is like, obviously you want your demo or your MVP to show to people and get their feedback. So how do you keep them excited? How do you keep them engaged? Was it more about the storytelling or the advancement of the product? Obviously it's MVP, so maybe you want to show it earlier than later, and try to give them something that they really need, even if it's not fully developed or fully polished.
Yeah, I would say for the excitement and the engagement, I think keeping the demo under 2 minutes, I think was crucial for the engagement, because any longer and you can sort of lose engagement. Storytelling is absolutely important. And you will notice there was a little bit of a story arc within, not too much, I would say, within the Wisdom demo, but that was intentional. But of course, if you have a product that you really want to start with the problem and the solution and the benefits, there's a lot of opportunity for that within the demo. With the Wisdom demo, because it was very focused on the technology and the features. So that's what we've led with. But who knows? Maybe if we were to do a future demo, another aspect of wisdom which doesn't come across on the demo, I think, is the community, right? And the fact that we do have the largest social audio mentoring focused community. And that community is made up of like awesome individual people who are creating content every day and who are helping people who are changing lives. So who knows? I think, for a future demo, there may be more of a storytelling arc there, where maybe what it's sort of more featured around the community. And then I think, just to your other point around keeping people excited and engaged, practice with strangers, practice with experienced people. I received feedback in terms of changing the order, what to say, explaining why you've built something. So, say, for example, something we have on Wisdom is it's audio and you're listening, but we have a feature for audience reactions. So, if you're listening in the audience in the back end, you can send like a clapping emoji, or you could send a heart or something like that. And it's bringing that interactivity to audio, because even today, I think a lot of us listen to podcasts on Spotify. There isn't a way to react today, which means that as the content creator, how do you also, you don't know how your audience are reacting, or you can look at is maybe how long they're listening for. So something like that, which is at the moment very, unique to Wisdom, but within the demo, I had said we have audience reactions, and then I was given feedback to say, also say that the creator can use that to read the room and understand the feedback of their content. And that's something I know in my head, but it took practicing with an external person to bring it out. So I think the last tip I would give is also, so we're saying, keep it short, start with a script, think about what you're going to say versus what they're going to see, and practice it with third parties, experienced third parties, and incorporate their feedback.
Okay. And if it comes to building your MVP, how was it from the technical point and non-technical point of view? Did you use multiple different tools, and maybe you can share what those tools were?
Sure. So I would say, obviously, aside from iOS, I have a list: Jira, Slack, Loom, and Figma.
Okay. And obviously, uh, I have to add up to that question. So Figma is a prototyping tool or UI tool. Did you show the any prototypes that were not like fully functional to the people at the early stage? And if yes, how was their reaction?
So we did at the early stage. Um, and I think that the feedback was promising, but I think particularly with Wisdom being live social audio, which I know I keep on coming back to, it's it how with certain products, I think you have to see it live. Does that make sense to believe it? It's like saying I'm going to play you a piece of music I've written, but I can't play the music. How do how do you feel it? So I think with Wisdom there was more of an impetus to go ahead and build, because the magic in Wisdom is really when you're seeing two people. Does that make sense? Like, go go back and forth and have conversations.
Yep. So obviously the demo and the MVP was successful. So how did you sustain that momentum, and how did you move it forward? What and maybe what would you done differently if you start from the beginning again?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, the advice I would give in terms of sustaining forward momentum, and that maybe I could have, be ready. be more ready for the next steps and think around the next steps. So for example, it could be the reading version of your pitch deck, meaning the version of the pitch deck that you can email and you, the founder, don't have to be there to give the voiceover so that they understand what is going on. Maybe your pitch deck where you will give the voiceover, financial projections, due diligence, even though if you're early stage, you may or may not have, that much available. Uh, I mean, your data room in essence, right? Some people refer to that, and having your data room ready. So the advice I would give is, be ready. Even with whatever mechanism you're using to take the funding in, be more prepared so that you can capitalize on that momentum.
Okay, yeah, and obviously, like I said that the demo and the MVP was successful, but obviously for everyone, and I'm pretty sure for you at the beginning, that success meant different things, and but but to to know exactly if you're going in the right direction, you have to have some kind of compass or some kind of KPIs and metrics that you want to look at. So, how did you evaluate what was the success for you with the demo, and how that maybe impact the further development of the product?
Sure, I think that's a great question. So with wisdom, our North Star metric is conversations that matter. So anything we build, any feature, we come back to saying, is this something that will help our community have conversations that matter, meaningful conversations? So I would say that's at the top level. Particularly where we spent a period of time in beta within like test flights before we released. I think it is important to invest upfront to track your metrics. So whether it's, Amplitude or Apps Flyer, whichever tool makes sense. I would say, invest upfront, track your funnel, track the important actions. And so, that's absolutely something that we did. And then, of course, sometimes, if you measure everything, then you can get confused in terms of, where do you look. So with wisdom, I think it's important to be clear on the MVP goals. So, for example, one of our goals was prove engagement. So we want to prove that we can have engagement on the app. So that's one thing that we've tracked. And to your point, in terms of early signals, today we can say that if we compare to dating apps, Tinder and Bumble, Wisdom users spend 5 more times per day on the app than a Tinder or a Bumble user. So that was a metric that we've tracked, and it tells for a great soundbite and story.
Okay, okay. So obviously, this is the live app that users, as you said, spend more time than on Tinder and Bumble. But obviously, like a lot of people are giving a lot of feedback to both founders and sometimes like even people that have never asked for any feedback. So how do you approach that feedback from your users? Sometimes it feels like they want something very badly, but in the end, like that feature that maybe you spent a significant amount of time is not like moving the app or the product in the right direction. How do you approach that thing?
Yeah, I would advise for anyone who's responsible for a product and you're on a team with user feedback. I think it's important to listen with an open mind and not have a mental preconception in terms of, because I think as a product owner you will always have an opinion, but for me, I try and make myself listen with an open mind, and also remove emotion for it, because sometimes when you hear something, I might already be mentally processing and being like, well, this is the engineer, this is the cost, this is going to, be how long. So I think it's important to listen. It's important to be open. Let your users talk freely. So in the first instance, I think receive it well. Thank the users. I always make sure I'm thankful, and then also and don't necessarily, I don't respond in the moment. Some people will hear, oh no, sorry, we can't do this, da, da, da. No, I everything for us, we take it away. I think it's important to log it somewhere. There's a lot of like tools out there where users can upvote, and so I think important, receive, be free, don't lose anything, log it somewhere. Even if you might never you know build that thing, I think it's important to capture it. And then I think, to your point, Adrian, it is so critical in terms of what to listen to and what not to listen to. I think having a system of classifying and logging is useful, because then you can periodically look back and see, like, where are the hotspots, where are the things that people are speaking about more. I think while Wisdom was in beta, we noticed that we had a big portion of our early adopters were podcasters. And so, where for them on Wisdom, they can start broadcasting live just in a couple of taps. You start your talk, and actually, I was wondering if I could yeah, within like a few taps on Wisdom, I was maybe going to share my screen. You can start a talk and be live, and and you can create content. So, because of listening to feedback from the early community, a number of people said, well, rather than going into a studio, renting a studio to record my podcast, or trying to use Zoom or YouTube, they were like, I can just record it on Wisdom. And it's easy for me to have a guest because all they have to do is download the app. And if I want to have surprise live guests, serendipity, they're already on Wisdom, right? They were like, on Wisdom, you can record your podcast uh, in front of an audience. So the we had a number of users saying, what if we could download the audio? So I do a talk on Wisdom, I record my podcast on Wisdom, or I just do like a live segment, I create some audio content. Can we download it afterwards? So that was a feature that we built in before we launched. That wasn't particularly on the roadmap. It was just by listening and an understanding that this is a utility, and it does get used. And then also, subsequently, from listening to the audience, now we have a high fidelity recording. So it means that if you do record some audio content on Wisdom, you're not compromised by saying the audio quality isn't quite good. So I think those are a couple of examples where it was great to have that beta period, but then also still to be regularly tapping into the community. I speak to the community every week, a few times a week, and yeah, just allowing them to always have feedback.
Okay, and something that just came to my mind when you were saying that obviously not each feedback is equally useful, but because you are already you have already raised funding, so like how do you get the feedback from your investors? Are they like actively helping you develop the product, or like maybe they are actually on the platform and using it as mentors as well? How does it work for?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, and let's talk about advisors slash investors, right? So I have a couple of, so there are some advisors, investors who are, and they themselves have very deep experience in scaling and exiting social networking and social products. So to your point, with them, I think just because they have such a vast amount of experience, they've used, but then they don't even necessarily need to use it. It seems to be very instinctive, because a lot of the challenges and things that I will come across with Wisdom, they've seen it before. And even if it wasn't specifically in audio, a lot of the common principles of social networks are are still applicable here. You know, it just sometimes looks a little, you know, it doesn't look sometimes so different because it's audio, if that makes sense.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, so we're getting pretty much to the end, but the last question that I would love to ask you is like where our listeners can follow you, where they can find more about wisdom, and obviously you said it already, but where they can download the app.
Yes, totally. So our website is at wisdom.audio. And yes, you heard correctly, uh, www.wisdom.audio. And from there, you can hit the links. We are on iOS and we recently launched on Android as well. So, you know, we have great coverage of both of the platforms. And I would encourage people, I mean, you can also find us at Join Wisdom on all of the usual social networks, so Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. But yeah, I would encourage to anyone listening, uh, if you are interested in having conversations that matter, meaningful conversations, and particularly with wisdom, where you have the option, first of all, just to listen. So you can download the app and just listen to conversations happening. You can play back conversations that have already happened. That's sort of one aspect of wisdom. But if you are a content creator or a podcaster and you want your voice out there and you have a message, wisdom is for you. And or if you're just somebody that wants to have one-to-one conversations, I think something which I didn't anticipate with building wisdom, I was thinking very much of, you know, connecting people for mentoring, connecting experts. So, and we do have a range of people on the platform. So it can be digital marketing, nutrition, parenting, mental health, life coaching. We're very big somehow on life coaching and, you know, self improvement. But yeah, I would just encourage people to try. And I was saying that. Sorry, one thing I didn't anticipate was the power in us connecting people for human conversations. I think particularly from during the pandemic, where I think there was a lot of loneliness, and maybe with the, you know, the great sort of with the great resignation, I think there's a wave of people are seeking, you know, like the meaning and the purpose in their life. And yeah, I just think it's a great time for wisdom for people to connect and speak about these things.
Thank you very much. Dayo, it was a pleasure to speak with you, and I wish you all the best with wisdom. I'm not sure whether you want maybe one day like get the valuation or the offer that Clubhouse had a few years ago. I believe it was 4 billion from Twitter. Uh, or you want to go all the way to a public traded company maybe, but whatever that is, I wish you all the best. And to our speakers, we will see each other in the next episode next month, where we will be finding out more about acceleration and incubation for startups. Thank you, Dayo.
Awesome, Adrian. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.